I had candy in my mouth. That's what was going on there. Here I was getting ready to start, and then I realized I had hard candy in my mouth. Anyway, and I've also been struggling with the computer today. I'm having trouble with both my input and my output, which happens from time to time when you get to be 68 years old. Oh, I thought that was pretty funny. What the heck? We got stuff to talk about today. Let me see who else here. I know we got 4 million people in the house. Moelma's here. Anime Reyes. Charmaine is in the house. Don't squeeze the Charmaine. Griselda Chrissy Mama's here. How are you? Good to see everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Daisy Lynn Castro stopped by to say hi early on. Miss Mensch, thank you so much for being a supporter. I truly appreciate it. And Pressy Manzanero, who shared it out earlier as a reminder that Dan was going live tonight, almost every night this week so far. But we got important stuff to talk about. One of them has a little bit to do with that earthquake. So I was going to start talking about all the stuff going on the internet and TikTok and live streams, a few people's live streams talking about earth changes. And then we have that gigantic earthquake in Russia, which sent tsunami warnings out. I don't know where it's at right now. Did we end up having a big tsunami here in the Philippines? Did it hit Hawaii? Did Southern California make out okay? But I was watching the live streams for a while my buddy Jeff and I and Chase were hanging around, throwing back a few 40-ounces and talking shop. But other than that, I didn't see anything happen on the big screen while we were sitting there messing around. So if you know anything, what is the latest news? Share it with us in the chat. So let's get started. So we're going to be talking about that in the second half of the show. You're in the toilet with Dan. So that means that whatever the topics are that we discussed tonight, they're to be flushed once we're all done. When this live stream is over, you need to flush it down the toilet. Them are the rules. Them are the rules. So please honor me by not taking anything that we talk about here too seriously. But here's what caught my attention right before go live. I was in Philippines expat Facebook page. You can, if you want, you can look up the Philippines, it's going to be Philippines expats page on Facebook. I think that this kind of shocked me. I'm not sure how I feel about it. At first I was really offended But I'm offended more by the comments that people made. I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to read it verbatim the way that it's on the site here. Philippines expat, 2 days ago. And I just discovered it. So play along if you'd like. It says, I've heard people in the US say, my man, and here in the Philippines, people say, my Filipina, when referring to their significant other. Some members of this site, apparently, or this channel, or this Facebook page, I guess is a better way of saying it, have complained about it, but I don't see anything disrespectful in any case. That is interesting that he doesn't see anything disrespectful. You know, what is he, a caveman? What world does he live in? He doesn't live in the same world that I live in. And we've talked about this before. So here are the few of the comments without me naming the names of who made the comments. I just want you to, if you want, you could go in here and follow along. But otherwise, I'm just going to go over it kind of quickly. And then you chime in and you tell me what you think. I hope the sound is okay right now. My speaker sound and my microphone sound is horrible. So we have this, the first one up says, I'm a Filipina's man. I'm not sure what he means by that. I'm not sure that's grammatically correct. She calls me her man. Okay. I call her my woman. We call each other our future. That was the very first comment on this page. Another one, the next one down, find new material. That was a pretty good comment. Why don't you find new material? Crystal's in the house. Thank you so much, Crystals, for being here. So we're talking about this phrase again that comes up from time to time. You know, a man saying, a foreigner man, by the way, saying, referring to his significant other as my Filipina, ownership, you know. Well, you're a linguistics expert. Does my Filipina, is it offensive to you, Crystals? So here's one comment by Mr. Lazaro. Oh, I said I wasn't going to name names. And it says, here's why it sounds not good to the ears of Filipinos. So this must be a Filipino chiming in. The term my Filipina to refer to household help is most commonly heard in Gulf countries, particularly in places like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates or UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman. Well, you know, I haven't been in those countries yet. I plan on going someday, but I haven't had that experience. So I can't really, I don't really know if that's true or not, that it originates in those countries. In these countries, a significant number of domestic workers come from the Philippines. Unfortunately, the phrase my Filipina, in quotations, is often used colloquially and carelessly and sometimes disrespectfully to refer to a domestic helper, reducing the person to their nationality and gender rather than recognizing them as an individual. So now I use the word Filipina, but I don't say my Filipina, which would sort of like, indicate ownership, like you own someone, like a pet. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. I mean, it is kind of, it makes me laugh. I mean, why would you say my Filipina to anyone? You know, unless you're saying I own that person, I own that Filipino woman. I don't know how you guys feel about it or not. Anime is laughing at me, but this reflects, it says, continuing on with the comment, this reflects a broader pattern of racial and labor stereotypes in some societies where domestic work is highly racialized. Oh, I see what he's saying. Yeah, I can think of where it might be in other cases in other countries also. The Philippines is a top source of migrant labor globally, especially in domestic work, which is why Filipino workers are often labeled in this way. Huh? I've never heard somebody refer to their house helper as my Filipina. Never, not in this country. I've never heard anybody say that before. Have you? Somebody chime in, help me out here, help me understand what's going on here. And then it continues. It's worth noting that this phrasing is considered offensive and dehumanizing by many as it objectifies and commodifies the person. Well, I'm not sure about it doing all that, except I agree with it, that it's dehumanizing to a certain degree. But how do you feel about it? Crystals, how do you feel about this? So we have this guy. Listen, I've got to skip over a few of these nasty comments. Here's one that I probably can say in YouTube. I call mine, and he's mine as in Filipina. I call mine the evil Asian. Yes, it's the B word. I call mine the evil Asian B word who rules Narnia. But I'm divorced now, LOL. He laughs, right? Is that really necessary? I'm telling you. They're taking a poll, and the choices aren't that great either. So they want to know how you feel about it. I'm pretty disgusted by it. So this guy here says, I get called Joe all the time. Yeah, I could see where he could think that that's not such a great thing either. It's stereotyping me for my skin color and nationality. Not just that, but prejudice as well. The people here just don't know any better. Whoa, damn. It is what it is. The people here, the folks living in the Philippines that refer to him as, hey, Joe, just don't know any better. But the guy's name was Joe. We say, hey, Joe, all the time in America. We say, hey, Joe, come on over here. Let's go grab some lunch. This is killing me, I'm telling you. All right. Next comment is the only reason that occurs to me, that's universally disrespectful is because it's a situation of power and the rich over the poor. If the poor says, my AFAM, I've never heard that phrase before either. My AFAM, AFAM, we find it cute and we can laugh it out. Let's see, next one. I've heard of pet names, and the fact is that she is your woman until she isn't anymore. Is she yours, or is it just your turn in her life? For most of us, this isn't our first rodeo, and we know that it takes effort from both parties involved to make things work. It is disrespectful to call someone yours, and he's referring to the word my, like a possession. I guess it depends on the people and if it's equal. Equal, Would you say my American? Would you say my Cano? Oh, yeah, you do say that. Oh, damn. I forgot about that. I have heard people say my Cano before. My Cano. And then, of course, you got somebody who the next comment is, why should I care? Well, you shouldn't. And then if you don't care, then you shouldn't comment. So a person makes a good point. Is this intended to help with an expat problem? Not really. It's more or less sharing an observation, I suppose, and bringing it to everybody's attention. I do believe I have talked about this a time or two. It is the same as saying my wife or my husband or my girlfriend or my boyfriend. No, I don't think so. I disagree. It is just being more specific to denote country that they are from and giving respect to their culture. What? You cop out? You're rotten to the core, dude. That's your excuse? You got to be kidding me. He says, my Filipina is awesome and I don't have a single F to give. If someone doesn't like me referring to her as such, find something else to cry about. You know something, sir? I hope you get run over by a bus. One, by the way, don't do anything to anybody who does this, all right? Just it's up to you, you know? It's up to you. Josephine is in the house. Thanks so much, Josephine. I know you guys have a lot going on, but you got to help me out here. Somebody in here, don't be afraid to chime in and tell me what you think. At least if you don't want to do it publicly, send it to my chat so I could figure out what's going on here. Next comment. People are too sensitive nowadays. My Filipina is the equivalent of my girlfriend or wife. Well, then say my wife. Would you not say my wife? Thanks, Josephine, for the like. I appreciate it. Because the woman is a Filipina. Yeah, but you go around and say, do you go around saying my Americana, my American? No, you would say my wife or my husband, my wife, you would say my wife, because you are married. But it doesn't necessarily denote ownership. And you know what? I'm thinking maybe that's where they're going with this. Maybe they're saying, oh, it doesn't have anything to do with ownership. Chill. Take a chill pill. Next one. You say my Filipina because you would not say my car if you drove a Bugatti. Tim. Oh my gosh, help me out here. The Filipinas in the room don't want to chime in on tonight's subject. And what I'm talking about is over here on the Philippine expat page here. They're talking about, referring to your wife as or your girlfriend as my Filipina. And I have talked about this a couple of times before. The next comment says, how about my wife? Why does your mate have to be identified by her ethnicity? If you are married to a white American woman, you don't call her my Americana. Somebody chimed in exactly what I was thinking, what I said earlier. Some of you guys act like you are on some kind of conquest. Oh, he goes there. He just says, huh. Oh yeah, so you guys want to come over here, and what is your goal? What's your plan? To sleep with as many Filipinas as you can? I mean, what is the plan here? And I guess you would treat them that way, I suppose, by referring to them as being my Filipina as opposed to my girlfriend or my wife. So Tim is saying never refer to your partner as a servant or a slave. Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of the direction this is going. They're saying that my Filipina has a history behind it, and that is in Middle Eastern countries. It's common to refer to them as my Filipina, and it's common to refer to a domestic helper. And so, Tim, you saw this already, didn't you? Didn't you, Tim? Oh, let's see. There are a few more that I could go over here real quick. I don't want to bore you to death about this. I'm going to bore you to death about something else. But remember, you're in the toilet with Dan, and after this live stream, you flush everything that I've said because Dan knows not of what he speaks. Okay, we have a young lady chiming in apparently. I was puzzled by the word AFAM is this a Filipino lingo for foreigners? Also, in the province, they call the foreigners Americans, whether it's German, Italian, Swede, Brit, New Zealander, Dutch, or Australians. Listening to their conversations make me cringe. You try to explain the difference is useless. I'm not being judgmental, just saying it from my observation. So you have some people in here that are really serious about this topic. You know, what do you think, Crystal? Should they lighten it up a little bit? What do foreign women call their Filipino men? Well, they call them a lot of names. Isn't that right, Crystals? No. I'm not saying you call Mark names. I'm just saying I have seen them calling, hey, you idiot. You know, what are you doing over there? I call mine my trophy wife. I know she loves it. She loves being called a trophy wife. Oh, they do the same thing. Nothing wrong with it. Oh my gosh. Oh, a couple more. It's killing me here. I don't talk to anyone else who is married to a Filipina, so I just say my wife. Yay! Saying my Filipina kind of implies that everyone has one. Hey, Filipinas are on sale down at the 5 and Dime. Why don't you go down there and pick you up one? You won't be sorry that you did it. They come with a lifetime warranty. They're standing up front. They're standing up front of the DIY with a sign on. You know, half off. Oh, it sounds a little like a pet name or peculiarity. How do you say that word? I could see how it could sound offensive, but could also see it as endearing. A term of endearment, if you're saying, come over here, baby. Everyone knows you're my Filipina. You wouldn't say it in public. You know, oh, I'm waiting for my Filipina. She's taking a little bit too much time in the Save More. Spending all my money, no doubt. I wonder when she's going to come the hell out of there. She's probably buying everything up in the store. So, Tim, I've heard many words used to call their partner. Exactly. I've been called idiot so many times, I can't remember which wife did it. I think both my American wives, if you will, since we're referring to them by ethnicity, used to use that phrase a lot. Filipinas are never low price. That's right. And so, exactly. So you won't find them on the shelves of the DIY, always low prices. Oh. So one guy says nobody cares, but I beg to differ. I care. I actually, I actually have my feathers. I have my panties in a bunch. How about that? My wife and my Filipina are the same. It's just a matter of understanding the context and the logic behind it. But okay, but aren't we talking about the use of that in public or something like that? We're not talking about what goes on behind closed doors, between you and your wife, We're not talking about that. We're talking about you calling her out, from across the parking lot of the Prince Mall. Hey, has anybody seen my Filipina? She was wearing a dark collar and a silver leash. If anybody sees her, she run off from me. I don't know where she is. She went that way. If you see her, can you tell her that I'm looking for her or scoop her up and bring her back to me and I'll be happy to reward you for your effort. Just say asawa. That's in here. That was one of the comments. Just say my asawa. My wife. That would be proper, I would think. Let's see. And then you have this idiot that says only sticks and stones break bones. Oh, well, really? Is that your comment? That's all you got, Mr. Man? Words should never hurt you. Oh, really? Try some skin thickener. Call me what you want. I don't care. Okay, you're an idiot. That's what I call you. Idiot. You're a moron. You know, oh, it's okay. How old are you? 70 years old? Got a couple more years of school will straighten you out. Let's see. It's really none of my business. I say my girl, my wife, my lady. So people, let's see, the next comment. So should people not say it because you don't like it? No, you shouldn't say it because it ain't right. Yes, they never got hit with a coconut. It just sounds strange. My Filipina. Sort of like saying my Toyota. Yes, it's possession. You know, it's okay, I suppose, if your Filipina wants to be owned. There are some couples that like to role play that way. My husband, oh, so here's a nice comment by a nice, sweet woman, a married woman, evidently. My husband always refer to me as my wife. If he calls me my Filipina, I will be offended because it sounds like I'm just a trophy or a thing with not much significance. On the other hand, calling a foreigner husband or boyfriend or a fam never sits right on me. I will never refer to my husband as a fam, just not right in any case or in all sense. Very well said. I like that. I can work both ways. If husband disrespects me, I can do the same to him. For example, I was talking to him, but he was not listening. Then I will do the same when he talks to me. Exactly. That's how we run our house. That's how we run our household, you know? Personally, I don't see it that way, but for others, it might come off differently. So, if your wife, girlfriend, or fiance finds it uncomfortable or belittling, it's best to respect her feelings and avoid using it. Oh, I think that's a key answer right there. That may be the best answer in the entire response column here. So, okay, let's slam the door shut on that one. Yes, slam it. Just don't use the Tampo card. Whatever you do, don't use the Tampo card, please. Don't do it. Oh, shoot. You know what? I was just thinking about that. Minnie hasn't used the Tampo card in like several years with me. So maybe it's because I said Filipina, grow out of it. Oh, it's terrible. I'm telling you. So I don't know. I don't know. Where are you? Would you be offended, Crystals? You know, would you be offended if you were? Well, we're basically talking foreigner husband and native-born Filipina. That's really what we're talking about here. So you don't count. You don't count because you're not married to a foreigner. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Let's see. What's the next subject? I was going to talk about um, all things related to the earth. Now, we got that huge earthquake, and this subject right here, I was going to talk about it before the earthquake hit Russia and before they sent a tidal wave or whatever it was, tsunami this direction. Now, I know that we got an advisory, a tsunami advisory, not a tsunami alert. An alert was for Hawaii, saying go to high ground. That's what the alert means. The Philippines is kind of like grab a San Miguel and keep your eye out on the beach and call all your friends and keep an eye on the ocean for us. And if things don't look right, then run like hell to higher ground. That's sort of what the difference between an alert and an advisory. So let's talk about it a little bit, because I've been asking. So I've been seeing all these videos. Oh, they did cancel the tsunami. Okay, so let's talk about earth changes, because there's all kinds of stuff, like I said, showing up on TikTok. One of them has something to do with the sun in the sky. Hey, we have a red sun. And then all of a sudden, they're showing the sun in the sky, or they're showing a twin suns. They're showing two in the sky. And so I put this in the chat GPT, and I asked it, what's going on here? And they said, nothing. They just don't have an understanding of the reason why we're getting a bright orange or red sun. Let me explain it to you. And then it kind of went down A, B, C, D. It's red because in that area they were experiencing fires. And so the fires caused the sun to appear to be orange on the horizon. But you have also a lot of people talking about the sun is rising early, the sun is setting late. They'll show on their phone, look, it says here that sunrise in the Philippines is at 5:05. But today it rose at 4:30. But according to the chat GPT, they're saying that's all sensationalized stuff. They're just trying to get views on YouTube and the other social media channels, and there isn't anything to it. And so I believe it. But you got some names out there, some big influencers that keep spreading this garbage all over the place, trying to stir up, trying to keep it going, I should say. Tim says they didn't have any immigration officers to give the tsunami a tourist visa. Oh man, there's a lot of talk about that. Isn't there? The increase in the fees. Everybody's talking about that. What do I care about it? What do I really care about it? I'm balik bayan. I don't pay any fees. Nope. It sucks to be them. It sucks to be them. So let's talk about, first, let's talk about the slowdown of the Earth's core. Oh, man, I have to go to a link. I have to go to my link. Stand by. It says something went wrong. Let me ask Chat GPT again, let me see. Let's talk about Earth rotation. Let's see if that link is good. Nope. They say that one's no good either. Okay, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to see if I could find these answers again. So we're talking about, I'm hearing a lot about the core, that's the chewy chocolate center of the Tootsie Roll, is starting to slow down. And I got curious by going into Chat GPT and asking them what's going on with that, the slowing of the core. Let's see, I spent less than $2,000 for my SRRV visa renewal every year. I think that's why, if people are planning on staying here, they got to figure out what they're going to do. But I am hearing a lot of people are going to bail. They're just going to leave. And I think that's problematic because, well, we come here and we spend a lot of money. And so that's a tiny bit that could turn into not such a great thing. And so I hope that they will rethink this thing and start coming up with a new plan that's more attractive for foreigners to relocate here to the Philippines, because you're on the upside of the economic what's it called? You're there. You're pendulum. You're over here. Woot. You're not down here. So you're on the upside. Let's see. Is the Earth is the Earth's core slowing? And let's just ask it, There's some evidence. Here's the answer. The official answer from Chat GPT. I have it right here. There's some evidence that the Earth's inner core may be slowing down relative to the rest of the planet. But this is still a topic of active research and debate. So what's going on? The Earth's inner core is a solid ball of mostly iron and nickel surrounded by a liquid outer core. It rotates independently from the Earth's mantle and the crust. So that's why I call it the Tootsie Pop, right? Because it's like, how many bites does it take to reach the center of a Tootsie Pop? Or how many licks? That's what it was. How many licks? 1, 2. Oh, crunch, 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 crunch. That's the old funny commercial for a Tootsie Pop. 2023 study published in Nature Geoscience suggested that the inner core used to rotate slightly faster than the rest of the Earth. Around 2009, that rotation began to slow down and might now be rotating more slowly than the rest of the Earth. Dun, dun, dun. It's a phenomena called subrotation. Does this mean something dangerous? No, not directly. Oh, shucks. Oh, darn. I thought it was going to be dramatic. I thought the Earth was coming to an end. I thought the whole planet was going to implode. It says the slowing of the inner core is not something you'd feel or notice. Well, then how come I'm always off balance, Tim? How come I'm always dizzy? Huh? It says it may slightly affect the length of the Earth's day by a few milliseconds. Well, that isn't good. I hate to be late for an appointment. It could offer clues about the Earth's magnetic field, geological activity, and how heat flows through the planet. Why is this hard to study? The inner core is more than 5,000 kilometers or 3,100 miles below the surface, and we can't observe it directly. Scientists rely on seismic waves from earthquakes to detect how it behaves. Oh, I'm just naturally a dizzy person. In summary, yes, some scientists believe the Earth's inner core has slowed down or even reversed. Now, I like the way that Chat GPT does this. It didn't say anything about it reversing. No, oh no, it's just slowing down. And then here in the summary, it says it slowed down or could possibly reverse direction relative to the mantle. But it's not a threat, just a fascinating natural process that we're still learning about. But I thought it works like a magnetic motor, like a motor. You have to form a magnetic thing in order to get the motor to generate electricity. And so you have one inner core going this way and then one going the opposite direction. Who's the engineer in here? Is there anybody in here that understands a word that I'm saying? Menge is here. Hi, Menge. All right. So now what was the next thing that I wanted to talk about? So that's the fact. That's the scientific fact from Chat GPT. There's nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Let's see. Chat GPT doesn't know what it's talking about on anything. Yeah, but they never given me a wrong answer when I fact checked it. Here's the thing, Tim. They've never given me a wrong answer. When they give me a wrong answer after I fact check it, then I'm going to share it with you and I'll tell you what wrong answer I got. But so far, Nothing. Okay, so now, is the rotation of the Earth speeding up? Because someone else said that it's so. A big timer on YouTube, a huge influencer, has 2 million followers, said the rotation of the Earth is speeding up. So that was my next question that I'm going to ask it about. So let me put it in here. Is the rotation of the Earth speeding up? By the way, you know why I'm doing this, right? Because now you have influencers doing this live, or they're doing it on video for views, and so they'll make up the answer. They they're not going to give you the answer Chat GPT gives them. They're going to make up the sensationalized answer that gives them views, and then they stand there looking like this. Oh, I didn't know that they were going to give me this answer. Oh, I didn't know they were going to give me this answer. No, it's more about education. It's more about learning. Yeah, I'm a lifetime learner there, Tim. So now let's get the answer to this. It says, yes, Mr. Dan. By the way, how does it know who I am? Yes, Mr. Dan, are you still in the Philippines? The Earth's rotation is very slightly speeding up over the long term, but it's complex. It's complex. Well, why? Okay, let's talk about the historical trend, slowing down. Over millions of years, Earth's rotation has been slowing down due to tidal friction caused by Moon's gravity. This means days are getting longer over very long time scales. For example, oh, Mike, how are you? Let's see. I lost my place. Let's see. This means days are getting longer over very long time scales. For example, 400 million years ago, a day was only about 22 hours long. The recent trend is slightly speeding up. However, in the last few decades, scientists have observed a slight speeding up of Earth's rotation. Some days have been recorded as slightly shorter than 24 hours. Example. Dang, I love the examples. Chat GPT is probably lying to me. On July 26, 2022, the Earth had one of its shortest recorded days, about 1.59 milliseconds shorter than 24 hours. What? I want the 1.59 milliseconds back. Oh, no, it says shorter. Why is this happening? Several factors. Glacial rebound, Earth's crust rising after being compressed by ice sheets. Large earthquakes, shifting mass closer to the equator. Atmospheric winds and ocean currents would be another reason. Core mantle interactions inside the Earth. So number 3 point here, leap seconds and atomic time. Because Earth's rotation isn't perfectly steady, scientists occasionally add or subtract leap seconds to keep atomic time in sync with Earth time. There's even talk of needing a negative leap second in the future if this trend continues, which has never been done before. In the long term, Earth's rotation is actually slowing down due to the moon. In the short term, there's a slight irregular speed up happening in recent years, but it's still being studied and is measured in milliseconds. Mike is saying it's because of big orange guy walking on the golf course. And who's here? Oh, Bruce is here. Hi, Bruce. How's it going? All right. So let's take a look at this. Ben and Sabu is here. Ben, how's it going? Hey, if you guys haven't signed up, go over to Ben and Sabu's channel and subscribe. He's a very earthy guy, very down to earth. Let's see. Let's talk about everybody always wants to. Oh, folks, hey, let me talk about this for a second. So we got a friend. This is loosely related to this. And his name is, no, I shouldn't name him. He's one of the expat guys. If he's watching, he probably is. He'll know who I'm talking about. So check this out. So he says, no such thing as, as ocean rise, and he orders up, there's about 5 or 6 of us around the table, and he orders up a glass of water and asks the waiter, the wait staff, please bring over a glass with ice, and then we're going to fill it up with ice water. And so he's trying to prove a point about displacement. So basically what he's saying is that, okay, now, Dan, there's no such thing as sea rise. Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. Because there's displacement. And that is when the ice cube melts, it will not displace the water because it's already compensating for it in the form of the ice cube prior to the water being poured in there. So you have the glass, you put the ice cube in, and you pour water in it. It comes to the very top, and it's floating on there. And a lot of people think that the water's going to overflow the glass, but it never does. Well, yeah, we'll have to talk more about that, Tim, next time. I'll tell you what my secret is. Hi, the amazingly wonderful Ma'am Crystals, who has 12 wonderful children and their one-legged chicken named Hop, who work together with her lovely husband, her lovely Asawa, Mark, tirelessly. And why does Hop, the magic chicken, only have one leg? It's probably because somebody got a little hungry, and they made Manuk Lechon out of him. Hi, Mabel of Vlogs. Where are you? Oh, let me go in here and give you a jacket. Thank you for stopping by. So yeah, so you see, let me go. I'm gonna come in here and give her a jacket, and then I want to talk about this displacement parlor trick. Yes. Oh yeah. You're gonna hear from Dan. Oh yeah. Yes, you are. Skip. Let's see. Skip. Don't skip the commercials, folks. That's how we get paid. All right. So far, so good. Add as moderator. Let's see. Here you go. Good. You should be good to go. All right. Now you're all good to go with a jacket. Now. So here's what they're really talking about, right? Made adobo water with the chicken leg. Here's what they're really talking about. They're not talking about glaciers melting that float in the ocean. See, that's the fallacy. Nobody is talking about that except for the guys that are trying to prove to you that sea rise is not taking place. So what he's really doing, what they're really talking about, and you can fact check me on that and correct me if I'm wrong. What they're really talking about is land-based glaciers. Get a grip on reality. They're talking about land-based glaciers. Now, I'm not talking about, whether they're going to melt, whether we're going to suffer from global warming, global cooling, global anything. I'm just saying that is the parlor trick. I'm just explaining to you what they always do in order to convince you that you can't have sea rise because of displacement. Tell that to the folks in the Titanic. Yeah, talk to them about displacement. See what I'm saying? In other words, I could care less about whether we're experiencing global cooling, global warming, global anything. But are we? See, that's the thing. Are we? Let's go talk about this for a minute. Let's go back to chat. Chat's getting tired of me. Every now and again, Chat GPT says, Dan, I'm tired of talking to you. You've been burning up my feed, asking me all kinds of questions all day long, 24/7, So, oh my God. Hop was born with only one leg. Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right, Tim. Mike, that's what they're telling you. We know what really happened. Chop, 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 chop. But anyway, they make chicken prosthetic legs. They can get one made for Hop. So now let's say, is the weather changing? Are weather patterns changing in the Philippines? Let's ask it that question. Is the weather patterns changing in the Philippines? What's your guess? Chime in before I post the answer. By the way, there will be a test at the end of this live stream. Oh, yes, there will. You thought you were going to get away with not taking a test. Oh, no, you're going to have a test. All right, here's the answer. Boom, boom. Here's the answer. Oh, Hop is from your story. Hop goes on an adventure with his Filipino family. That sounds like a cool book. So it says the answer is yes. Huh? What? I'm shocked. Weather patterns in the Philippines are changing significantly, and scientific research shows these shifts are closely linked to human-caused climate change. Oh, no. There it is. Oh, my God. I was not expecting to get this answer. Oops, Dan, I'm not paying attention. Oh, you get a D minus, and that's because I like you, Crystals. Otherwise, you would get a big fat F for today's class. You failed to participate. So let's talk about this rising temperature and heat events. Now, I'm just the messenger. I'm just reading what Chat GPT has to say. None of these are my ideas. They're just coming from the book of knowledge. The country's average temperature has increased by approximately 0.65 to 0.77 degrees centigrade between 1950s and 2018. Since 2020, the annual mean temperature has risen by 0.6 centigrade over the 1981 to 2010 baseline, and projections indicate that temperatures could rise by as much as 4 degrees centigrade by the end of the century under high emission pathways. Whoa, Mike says, my dad in the Philippines says that over his 85 years, there have been many changes on the island of, how do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it? Negros. Hi, Charmaine. Sorry, I don't take exams or tests since I got my bachelor's degree. Hi, Charmaine. All right, let's continue on. Extreme heat events, including heat indices exceeding 50 degrees centigrade in April 2024, have become more common across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. PAGASA has explicitly identified climate change as the primary driver behind these extreme heat waves. So let's talk about, Lindsay is here. Hi, Lindsay. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, take care now, Mike. Have a nice day. All right. Shifting rainfall and drought patterns. I'll get through this really quickly. Lindsay, I'll give you a jacket once we get through this here. Dry season, March, May. Oh, wait a minute. I'll tell you what. I forgot that I can do it now. I could give her a jacket now. I just have to. I don't know how this technology works, but I'm learning how it works. So, okay. I should have you covered now, Lindsay. All right, so back to the Chat GPT. Yeah, that's a long article. It says, Oh my gosh, it's just long. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because it just goes on and on and on with factoids. But I will give you the titles, the headings, and then if you're interested, then you go in there and look it up. Rising temperature and heat events, shifting rainfall and drought patterns, stronger and more frequent typhoons, sea level rise and marine heat waves, impacts on communities' health and ecosystems is a heading. And then it gives a summary table giving you the facts over the last few years. What's causing this? All these observed changes are consistent with climate model projections under human-driven global warming. Dang. I wasn't really expecting this. I'll tell you the truth. Institutions like PAGASA, the Philippine Climate Change Commission, and international studies attribute rising temperatures and stronger storms, changing rainfall, and sea level rise primarily to, wait for it, greenhouse gas emissions. Boy, I'm glad I'm over here sitting in this chair. I don't want to be stoned to death. I'm not a witch. Looking ahead, expect more frequent hot days and nights with temperatures breaching 35 degrees routinely. Stronger typhoons, more frequent extreme rainfall, and more prolonged drought, especially during El Nino. Rising sea levels increasing flooding risk in coastal areas. And of course, if you guys, now, if they didn't believe this, then why are they building up seawalls all over the place? I mean, they've got something in progress every island that I have visited in the last 3 years. You could see them putting up seawalls, and they're putting them up fast. Are they tall enough, though? I don't think so. You know, judging by the ones they built here in Bye Bye City, the ocean waves breach those seawalls all the time here. So rising sea levels increase flooding risk in coastal areas. Well, it's all a coastal area, for crying out loud. We're islands. Continued threat to agriculture, fisheries, infrastructure, and human health. What can be done? At national and local levels, strengthen disaster preparedness. Gee, thanks. Invest in resilient infrastructure. They're doing that. Enhance climate-find weather systems and integrate climate adaptation in urban planning and agriculture. For local communities, prioritize early warning systems. Gee, that makes me feel safe. A little buzzer going off, you know, telling me to run to high ground as fast as I can. I'm a 68-year-old man. You know, how fast do you think I can run? At individual level, stay informed via PAGASA, prepare for heat and storm emergencies, and support community resilience efforts. The bottom line is yes, the Philippines is seeing measurable shifts in temperature, rainfall, storm patterns, and sea levels, and these shifts are linked to climate change. These trends are expected to intensify unless global emissions are drastically reduced. And so there you have it. I don't know how you feel about it. I was saying earlier to Tim that Chat GPT has rarely given me any kind of questionable answer whatsoever. I was always able to fact check it myself. And this one, I don't think I'm going to fact check it because it's the same stuff that we've been hearing over and over again for the last 10 years. And so Chat GPT is collecting up all the available information and extrapolating data and then giving you the answer the way it appears on internet websites, research websites, and the like all over the world. And so that's pretty much how it works. So that's how they're presenting it, as being undeniable fact. And so that it is what it is. Is that how you say it? It is what it is. All right, everybody. That's all I got in me for tonight. Thank God. Thanks so much for being here tonight and putting up with me. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, and morning, or wherever